Our world today seems to be in total upheaval. Many people are wondering if, in fact, we have not reached the biblical end times. But how can we know? Are we simply to be spectators to these events? Or have we been given information, messages that offer hope, or even help avoid these disasters? In 2004, a particle physicist working independently made a discovery that could change everything we think we know about the world we live in. Could it be that something as inconsequential as this tiny fiber contains such a message for the entire world? Have new ways of obtaining long-hidden information been discovered?
The emissions from a physical object, when studied as a whole, uniquely identify events in the history of that object.
Have scientists finally discovered where to look for the secrets of the universe?
And we have a piece of cloth, and it leads us to a mysterious gate which opens for us, and it lets us to see a completely different world, an extraordinary world with extraordinary laws.
What is this mysterious gateway? And what are these extraordinary laws that are only now being discovered? Could it be that time, space, and energy interact in a way never before predicted?
Physicists are always trying to find unifying principles. Is there a unifying principle of the very, very large relativity and the very, very small quantum physics, which if we could see what that principle was, we could explain everything?
Has that principle been discovered? Is modern science now beginning to decode messages that might even be coming from another dimension? Is there something on the scientific horizon that suggests we have finally been given the secrets of life itself, perhaps even eternal life?
There's something which produces the order of the universe. Now, the big problem is we don't quite know what that something is. So even though I talk like we do, believe me, folks, there's a big mystery still out there waiting to be discovered.
The nature of time, the creation of the universe, and perhaps even a link to another dimension. Can these great riddles of the universe be solved through the lens of the ancient past? In the next hour, you will stand at the threshold of today's most stunning scientific discoveries. Images never before seen will reach out from the dust of antiquity and touch your life today in ways you never thought possible. In a moment, scholars, scientists, and historians all come together in an amazing and unflinching investigation into the fabric of time. In a world where children grow up playing with computers and calculus is frequently part of the high school curriculum, many of the scientific mysteries of the past are today commonplace knowledge. Yet even the world's leading scientists would agree that when it comes to understanding the universe we live in and the physical laws that we think govern it, only a very few of the threads that make up this vast tapestry have been untangled. But these few threads are endlessly intriguing. Einstein's theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, particle physics, all taunt us with the notion that perhaps we can know the unknowable. Yet these studies have only begun to reveal the intricate interweaving of forces that make up the universe. Is it possible these lofty scientific pursuits are being advanced exponentially by the information contained in one ancient, earthly, hand-woven piece of cloth? Some scientists say yes. But in order to understand how that could be, we must first understand the secrets these scientists are trying to uncover.
The basic ideas behind quantum physics and relativity are really quite simple. The laws of physics are the same for all observers, regardless of where they are and how fast they're going.
The universe that this model leads us to is an intelligent, self-organizing, creative, learning, trial and error, participatory, interactive, non-locally interconnected evolutionary system. That's what it's all about.
That may seem simple enough to the scientists, but how can an awareness of these concepts help us understand the meaning of why we're here and where we're going? Is there some deeper understanding that can be gained through all of this scientific study?
Why do we care about quantum physics and relativity so much? Well, basically, they're really very beautiful theories. But if that's all they were, we wouldn't care very much at all. What we feel, though, is that they're gateways. They're leading us into new ways of understanding the universe, and that we care about very much.
I sincerely think that through these studies, we will come upon a completely new structure of physics, maybe even a completely different world.
Science has discovered the basic structure of the entire universe by studying the tiniest possible things. And they did it with the largest scientific instruments ever built. One such instrument is 16 miles long, fills a mountain, and searches for particles 1 trillion times smaller than a human hair. But why? Why search for the tiniest of tiny particles?
It's been known for a long time that all physical matter emits and reabsorbs particles of energy. Over 100 years ago, Max Planck named these emissions quanta, or quantum singularly, and they have been the study of particle physics for over 100 years. And if you analyze all the emissions from any physical object, that's called a quantum hologram. We now understand that all physical objects have a quantum hologram.
That study has produced a set of laws that scientists call the Standard Model. This is the theory that summarizes the scientists' current understanding of elementary particles and the fundamental forces of nature.
In fact, what's going on in the Standard Model of particle physics is extremely mind-bending and paradoxical. For example, the Standard Model says that there are inside of the nucleus invisible particles, particles we never see on their own, called quarks. And no one has ever seen a single quark. In spite of the fact that we've achieved a lot of success in physics, there's still a lot of mystery here yet to be discovered.
But assuming all of this is true, where can we begin to look for a meaningful example of what all of this means to you and me? Is it all just some cosmic Rubik's Cube for scientists to play with? Or is it possible there is a broader purpose, ancient information perhaps, that is even more relevant today? In the late 1970s, scientists developed a computer program that allowed NASA technicians to read the terrain characteristics of distant planets derived from two-dimensional satellite photographs. But the developers of this amazing device were in for a shock when they were asked to analyze a photograph of something most of them had never even heard of. Actually, what they were looking at was a two-dimensional photograph of a two-dimensional artifact. But to everyone's amazement, from somewhere there emerged three-dimensional information. To these practical scientists, it was as if they were looking at something from another planet. None of them had ever seen anything like this before. A photograph of an ancient cloth had brought the scientists face to face with the impossible. Three-dimensional information was being discovered where it couldn't possibly exist. Suddenly, a broad range of scientists took a professional interest in what had been, for those who were even aware of it, nothing more than a mild curiosity. But for one particle physicist, this tiny fiber generated the most excitement. It is a single thread from that same cloth, and resting on its surface is the hint of an image that is barely visible. Could it be that somewhere in the origins of this image lay the secrets of the universe? The artifact was the Shroud of Turin, and without a doubt it is the most picked at, probed, x-rayed, examined, revered, reviled, tested, studied, scanned, and photographed artifact in the world today. For those who are unfamiliar with this particular piece of cloth, it has long been revered as the object described in the Gospel according to John, chapter 20, verses 6 and 7. Referring to Peter, John wrote,
"He saw the strips of linen lying there, as well as the burial cloth that had been around Jesus' head. The cloth was folded up by itself, separate from the linen."
For over 100 years, researchers, historians, and scientists of every variety have attempted to determine if this linen cloth tucked away in a cathedral in Turin, Italy, could actually be the one referred to, the burial shroud of Jesus Christ. An attempt was made to discover the answer to that question in 1978, when a group of American scientists were given unprecedented access to the shroud for 5 intensive days. Over the next several years, this tireless group, known as the Shroud of Turin Research Project, or STURP for short, which was comprised of many of the world's premier scientists representing such diverse disciplines as physics, chemistry, engineering, forensic medicine, and many others, spent no less than 150,000 man-hours studying, testing, and interpreting the data. The results seemed to indicate the shroud could be a genuine first-century burial cloth from somewhere in Palestine. But then, in 1988, carbon dating analysis by 3 different testing laboratories produced quite a different result.